And welcome back, gamers. I'm Draxxinusam, and we are here again in our dwarf fortress. Recently, you may have remembered that we designed this, what do you call it? A well, or we at least put in place for the well, and we are working on getting it put together. The trader... Oh, okay, so this is what I was actually waiting for last episode, where we were basically like, okay, we want to see their half of the trade documents. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to look over it. And as you can see, so this is actually what we recommended that they bring for us. So if you look and you go through, it basically shows you, based on the recommendations that you asked for, it gives you a price adjustment. They seem sort of random, but I think it's supposed to be like, well, we have this a little bit more available and this little less, so this price will be higher and this one will be slightly lower. But you can see how much the prices are affected by how much you slide it. So you can kind of use these to sort of judge. I think it goes by quarters pretty much. So the first one will be approximately 25%, the middle one approximately 50%, the third one approximately 75%, and so on and so forth. So as you can see, that's roughly like around 25, and so on. And I think I saw 70 in there. Nope. I don't go into the 70s too much, but you can see sort of how it works, and that one's kind of approximately 50%. So that'll basically tell you if you saw them the first shipment, you'll sort of know how to adjust those prices the next time you see them. So if it's 200% of 5, you might pay 10, that sort of thing. So we say, okay, there's not a whole lot that's very interesting about that particular screen, other than it tells you basically what prices to expect when you see them next time. This part is a little bit more interesting. It'll be opening up here in a second, but it's basically what I keep talking about, but it doesn't ever want to open. Usually this all sort of happens at once, but this next screen right here will basically be showing you what they want in what sort of like quantity. So you can see it turns out that we're kind of lucky because yep. Oh, no, it's showing me all of them. So, earrings are coming in at 147%, so they want earrings, which is a type of craft. They want thread, which is coming in at 191%. They want goblets at 161%. Crowns, these are crafts. This is a goblet you have to order up. Quivers is something you also have to order. They want cloth in general. They want seeds and backpacks. So this is sort of random as well. It's kind of weird because it doesn't necessarily affect what's coming in or what they'll sell you. So if you happen to also want seeds, they actually bring them with them. Or if you want pearlash or thread or cloth, like all of those things will be shipped to you. I don't believe it. These don't affect their prices at all. The only thing that affects the prices is what you ordered. So, yeah, it's like, we'll pay this much for these items. It's kind of weird, but it's sort of helpful because, I mean, and this is basically how you know that they're from Mountain Homes. They're like, blah, 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 our fortunes rise and fall together. So now he's gonna bugger off. See, and there he goes. Get out of here, you jerk. Whee! And he just kind of disappears. Ooh, and this is a brook, so he can walk over it. Sometimes if this is a river, they actually have to swim across it. So, yeah, it's always something to consider. Okay, so now that we saw that, it was important, and hopefully it made sense. If not, maybe look over the video again, see if you can't figure out what the crap I was talking about. And if you got it on the first try, well, good for you. You get a gold star. But you have to come pick it up, because I'm not mailing that crap out. So we will go ahead and spend some of the beds we have made. And like I said, it's always difficult for me to keep track, because as you can see, it sort of like comes in stages, like, oh, I've got 10 beds, so I'll throw them down, but I've still got all of this, plus whatever they dig out. So it takes a while. What else? I guess we can start sort of putting things together for our hospital. So a couple of things you want for your hospital are, so we want chests chest, which are wooden because we are not rich enough for metal types. We need cabinets. I think we can have rock cabinets. Yeah, we can. So we'll order up 10 of those. What else do we need? So you need containers, you need cabinets, you need beds, so we'll order up a few more beds. We'll order up another 20, we'll say. You need tables. We'll order up 10 of those. And you need a traction bench, which are made by mechanisms, which are made in the engineering station, which is right for us. It's right up there. Here it is, right here. And apparently we have an engineer somewhere, so that's cool. Mechanisms are also kind of a way to keep people busy. I employ them a lot, and eventually when you get more advanced, like for levers and traps and all that sort of thing, it takes mechanisms. And they used to be made by all sorts of stuff, but now they're just made by rock, which is very helpful because that crap can be expensive. And, of course, as you can see, I mean, not that we're terribly far into the game, but it can definitely add up in terms of resources, and, like, if you're always waiting for metal to be able to make those, you'll be stuck, and you will have pretty crap defenses or whatever, which we might get started on soon. We sort of don't have a ton of dwarf power, so we're kind of holding off on that a little bit. So let's go ahead and design our hospital. So I'm going to go for somewhere in the middle, probably right about there. We're going to go right about there, and right through there. Actually, I'm not in love with that. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ah, sweet. How do I want to do these doors? I could put just doors in on one side, but then I feel, what's the shortest path are they going to take? Yeah, they're not going to take that path, so let's put in doors right there as well. What do we have down here? I'm also going to start my strip mining in a little bit. Just because I like to have things, and, oh, actually, that reminds me, I need to expand this. We need to get in other sort of ways to spend resources, like jewel crafters and that sort of thing. So, I personally have them in sort of sections, like this room is anything that needs a kill or like resources in terms of fuel. And this section is anything that has to do with cloth and that sort of thing. But you are more than welcome. This is basically just sort of an idea environment, like, oh yeah, I could do things like this, and or I could do things like this. I'm definitely not saying that this is the right way to do it, and if you don't, I'm going to crack your head open. No, I'm not saying that at all. And I definitely encourage you to try your own hand at Dwarf Fortress and see if you can't figure out things that work for you and things that you prefer. Because, you know, if you don't make it your fortress, well, then it's just no fun. Let's jump up and see if we need more wood. We kind of do. I need more miners. I need lots of stuff. See, this is always sort of my problem. Like, I'm just choked out of resources in the beginning, so I'm just sitting around waiting for crap to happen. Yep. Might expand those soon. Oh yeah, we need to start thinking about coffins as well. So I'm going to order up those. The things with coffins is when people die, or dwarves die, excuse me, people get upset. But they also get upset if they die and their corpse is just left out. You can get ghosts, and ghosts come in several varieties. They're like angry ghosts that like wander around and like push your dwarves and stuff and like punch them and poke them, and they really annoy dwarves. There's ghosts that just sort of sit there and just stand, and they just stare forever because you didn't put their spirit to rest or whatever with a coffin. And then there are dwarf spirits that just sort of walk around and don't really do anything. All of these can kind of be bad for dwarves because they're like, oh, there's a ghost, oh my god, this is terrible. And their family will be kind of angry because they weren't respected. And the way to respect dwarves is bury them. And there are several different ways to bury them. At least, well, there's only sort of one way to respectfully bury them, and that's to slap down a coffin somewhere and just let them dump. But there are several ways to take care of bodies. There's actually, like, zones where you can dump corpses, or maybe those are stockpiles. Maybe it's both. Yeah, see, there's corpses in the stockpile menu. So, and that's definitely an option. I mean, there's actually a use for parts of dead stuff, like bones. You can turn those into armor, into crafts, into bolts. Skulls you can turn into totems. All of that sort of thing. So there's definitely use for it, but just be aware that dead bodies inside a fortress will create miasma, and as you recall, dwarves really hate that because it smells like poop. Oops. I meant to dump that. Dump. Oh yeah, it's not claimed because I unclaimed it. So, as you can see, so if I hit F, it's forbid, which means don't ever touch this. And if I hit F again, it's claimed, so there's no brackets around it, which means we claimed it. This will be an important sort of note when there are lots and lots of raids, because it sort of turns into a really grisly... Oh yeah, I forgot, I need to break that. But I actually need a place for that thread to go. So, let's build a place for that thread to go. 1, 2, 3, space, 1, 2, 3. Good enough. See, and dwarves are starting to take rooms, so since we've opened those up, Enod Blurk picked up that room. No one owns these rooms yet. A Fisher Dwarf owns this room, so they all sort of like filter in. If they don't happen to make it to a room, they'll sort of pass out in the dormitory. It's always a good idea to have dormitories, because you might not always have the capacity for every single dwarf that shows up. So you always want to have those sticking around. Where are all my minor dwarves? What are they doing? Construct rock table. Crap, I forgot one of them is a mason. Flip on a stick. And we're all busy. I need more migrants. Except, I sort of hate migrants myself, just because it takes so much time to process every single migrant. Oh, and now we're starting to dig down. Hopefully I didn't mess that up. Which reminds me, for the pump that will eventually go into that well, we need a few things. We need pipe sections, which can be made out of wood. And we also need a corkscrew, which is a giant corkscrew, I think they call it. Corkscrew. Oh no. This is a trap component as well, but it's also important for the construction of the pump. So, you can also make it out of glass, you can make it out of metal, all sorts of stuff. And you don't ever really have to worry about the material breaking down or anything like that. The only time you'd ever have to worry about that is if you were pumping magma, and then you would need magma-safe materials, which you can find in the Dwarf Fortress wiki, if you happen to have a question, because no one wants to spend a long time designing and building something and then have it all melt away in the fires of Hades. Go ahead and redo some of those, because we always have a need for it. And it is raining up here. We are out of ammunition, so I'm going to jump down here. One thing that I do later in the game is I basically, sort of like this, where Craftsdorf's workshop, I basically have one dedicated just to making bolts. Because when I sort of do military squads where I have a melee squad and then an archery squad, and a melee squad and an archery squad, and a melee squad, so on and so forth. So I'd end up having like 30 or more archer dwarves. Oh, crap. I just realized something. I messed this up. Oh, no. No. Oh, booger. we have to do that in waves. We can't do it like this. So basically, the problem that I'm having here is that I had this all channeled out, and I forgot that you have to do it in sort of thoughtful waves, because if you don't, you basically get this problem where they'll dig a channel out, but they can't get to the next spot, because it's obviously underneath. Like, you can't be on the level below and dig the layer above you. It's quite difficult and probably impossible for a normal person. Alright, so this is all coming together pretty well. Whoops, going the wrong way. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a door right here, and as a backup, here and here. Again, you can always use floodgates if you happen to want to move water around. I don't necessarily do that, at least not in this case, so I won't be using doors at all. And I will also be using a door here. Oops. Right here. Let's look at what we have in our job manager. We have beds that are coming right along. We have rock blocks, which will be used for our wells. Buckets, which haven't been started because the beds are taking precedence, and so on and so forth. And as you can see, our sort of housing unit has been completed, and as have some of our statues. So statues are in the build menu, which is B, and then S for statue. And we have 10 of those, but we only need 9, and just like the design that you see if you looked it up in the wiki, we are going to put the statues in the center of these, just because it looks fancy. And of course, the cat is still on a rampage, killing everything in its sight, which is making a mess and causing this pool here to be even more disgusting, because there's basically just a pile of corpses right there. Yeah, look at that. That's everything that's been dumped in there. So it's just a bunch of dead bugs and lizards and birds just piled up in a little puddle. Disgusting. Disgusting. So I'm going to let this guy channel all of this out. I'm going to have to think about as I do it, because it has to be done by layers. Because like I said, you can't dig out the layer next to it. If you're if you're down here on this level, you can't be digging out the layer above you. So you have to be on that layer and channel down. So, and then you have to do it so you can access, so you can then chop down the next one, and then the next one, and that sort of thing. Sort of like a domino effect. It's really hard. I feel like it's hard to explain. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm just simple, which is definitely within the realm of possibility. But yeah, I'm gonna dump these because they drive me nuts. Hopefully, you've gotten used to the ASCII, or at least a little bit more used to it. Especially when I sort of try and make everything logical. Like, you can tell these are hallways, and this is a little stockpile, and this is a workshop here, and these are the two farms, and that's a mushroom that's grown, and these are the stairs that go down to these stairs, which leads into this dormitory filled with beds, and this is a hallway that comes into this sort of like meeting hall where there are these tables surrounded by chairs in between these pillars, and it has a little off room for food storage and another off room for where the food is actually created, and all sorts of stuff. So hopefully you're seeing that. I mean, I definitely do, but I've also been playing this for a very long time, so I kind of have a leg up. How many beds do I have? Not many, so I will hold off on using beds for now. Freaking cat, man. This thing is the most rampant murderer I've ever met in my life. Sorry about this one being a little bit slower, just because we are trying to get to basically the next step, and I don't really want to jump out and have people miss things and be like, what? How did you get from this point to this point? Because, like in math, that would always happen to me where, like, professors and teachers would sort of just assume that you were aware of the next step, and you might be, but you just might not be familiar enough to... God, flippin'... Alright, what do we got? Oh, we need to make some stuff out of bone. So as you can see, because we've been butchering stuff, we have all kinds of bones. And can I make something out of... I've never actually made something out of ivory. Where is it? There it is. And there it is. So I'm going to order up some bone bolts, because those are the most valuable things out of bone, I think. Unless you have like a really fancy bone crafter, I think bolts are the most useful thing, just because you can use it to get more food, you can use it to get like soap and all sorts of stuff like that. So bolts drive the economy. At least they drive my economy. Your economy can be driven by something else if you want. I'm not a Nazi. I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to actually cancel the fine meal. Alright, so now I'm going to start channeling out these layer at a time. So we're going to go ahead and select that. I hope I measured that right and I didn't mess it up, otherwise it's going to be hideous. Check and make sure that everything is running properly, that nothing's broken or out of whack. You know what? I'm going to give you a new job. Oops. And that's sort of the thing as well. So as you can see, these doors are up, and we'll probably link those to a lever. Maybe 2 levers, like this one to 1 lever, and these to 1, or these to 1 lever, and this to 1. Just in case, because we don't want the water to burst forth and murder us all, because that would be sad. Because even though this is a brook, it will eventually fill up a fortress. And we don't want that, because we're currently living in this fortress. See? And that cat's carrying around something dead, and it just dropped it right there, you freaking cat. And the cat's sort of interesting because it kind of thinks it's a dwarf that's helping, so it'll like leave dead stuff in the food stockpiles. It also kind of follows people around and tries to like give gifts, so a lot of times like it'll follow people into their rooms and just leave dead stuff, or leave dead stuff in here. I don't know if it's actually doing that. Excuse me. Or if it's just basically following the dwarf until they get somewhere where they pause a lot, like sleeping. They tend to sit there a lot, and the cats sort of like get bored and will drop it and wander off. And eating takes a while, so they'll be eating and then they'll get bored and then they'll wander off. So I don't know if it's because of cat behavior, or because it just happens to be that dwarves never go anywhere, and so they, yeah, they do a thing. So I'm going to go ahead and do the next layer. I think we went 2. Man, I would kill for some... I have a bunch of flies hanging around over here. Ah, yes, there's something else I need. I need a quern, which is basically a type of millstone, except it is run by... How the freaking crap do you spell it? There it is. It's basically like a giant millstone, except it's run by hand. So we'll actually use that to grind the cave wheat into dust, or flour, or whatever you want to call it, and then we'll use that as a cooking ingredient. And Oh, yeah, screw press as well. Man, I forgot all kinds of things. Do I have those hives? Oh! Ah, migrants! Perfect! Perfect, perfect. Just what I was hoping for. Okay. So now we will go through and do the normal, normal sort of migrant thing. This guy has pretty good, jobs already, but we want to make sure that he... so this is another part, Wait. Stop! Ponderous shields. Is that where you wanted to be assigned to? Yeah, it is. Okay, you're hired onto the ponderous shields. The reason I did that is because he, a lot of times in these versions, they come with like a level of competent in their particular combat skill, and he does as well, so I consider him a valuable dwarf for military right off the bat. He's kind of got crap everything else, so we basically have to give him a job. So we're going to give him mining, and then maybe, what else do I need? Plant processing. And then a bunch of animals. That is a gosling, which is a type of bird. That is a dingo, which is not even a part of the group, and it's probably scaring people, so that's kind of crap. This metalsmith is... He sort of has some combat skills, but not really. He's really similar to that other guy, so we're going to give him some other jobs to do. We'll give him farming. We will give him brewing. We will give... Let's see, crafts. We will give him weaving and clothes making. Why not? See, so all of these migrants are freaked out by that dingo, so they're all going to run away. And we have a reindeer calf, so we are going to go ahead and assign it over here right straight away. Here's the next person. He's a beekeeper, but that's about it, which is useful, but not necessarily, like, incredibly useful. Like, bees are nice, but he's not going to spend every waking minute doing that. Ranger, which is perfect. So this will actually be our... he will be in charge of our next militia, which will be our archery division. So we will go ahead and we will create that, and we will add him. They always, as they arrive as migrants, they will always appear at the bottom of the list. So go ahead and scroll up, and it will take you to the last one. And as you saw, he was a ranger, and he was a ranger. If you paused the video, you would see that the names match up, and you can see here that he's also labeled as a militia captain. So if we want to make sure that his squad is set up correctly, you hit M and go into the military screen. You will create the squad. You will label it as archer, which will basically set up that they use crossbows and leather armor. Which, while we're here, we may as well do some equipment here, because again, as I mentioned in another video, they sort of, even though they might have a skill, that won't necessarily be their preferred weapon, which is kind of annoying, because they'll like, was an axe dwarf, so then he might go pick up a spear and become good at that, even though he's already got, like, general skill in, battle axes. So we will go ahead and assign that. We will go back. Oh, we need to make sure that this guy has jobs. Let's see. Dodger, ambusher. I don't think he actually has hunting. Oh, no, he does, which is good. We will also give him butchery, so he can kill the stuff that he finds. Man, we sure do have a lot of people who are coming in with metalworking skills. Leatherworking, stone crafting, strand extraction. Yeah, these never have to make any sense. Just give them whatever jobs you happen to need done, and it'll happen. You don't need to be like You can add rhyme or reason if you really want. It's not necessarily terribly important. So this guy has novice Mark's dwarf skills. Usually I would set the bar a little higher, but we kind of need things to go. So if you hit P and you go into preferences here, it actually brings up this menu that you might be familiar with. But as you start getting military squads, it'll show you the squads down here. And as you can see with plus and minus, I can scroll through those. I'll show you how to rename these so you know which one is which, but I know that this one is our archery squad, so I will go ahead and assign him there. And I will make sure that he has hunting, so he's basically training while getting us food. And then I will give him... how about wax working, farming, tanning, and that'll be good. That is a baby, which is not anything I can use, at least not yet, which is a tragedy. So this guy is another novice Marksdorf, so I will probably lead him off for now. He does have woodworking, so we'll also give him some carpentry skills, and we will give him some wood crafting skills as well. Let's see, this guy has some skills, not a ton of really readily useful skills that'll be used right off the bat, so we'll give him a bunch just of random things just to make sure that he's got stuff to do. We'll give you plant processing as well. Fishery worker. This guy has absolutely no skills, so we will give him other jobs. Architecture, and we will give him mining and stoneworking, and we will give him stone crafting. He will be an expert of stone. A trapper, huh? I don't have combat listed, do I? Okay. So you can have hunting as well. We will give you... furnace operating. Mechanics as a skill, and milling. Why not? Craftsdorf. Perfect. We like Craftsdorf. Oh, wow. He's really good. He doesn't need anything extra. As you can see, he's got great clother, he's got woodcrafter, he's got leather worker, he's got fishing, he's got all kinds of stuff. One thing to note, when they come across like this as having a lot of greats, I had a problem in one map where I kept getting vampires showing up, and there's ways to tell that they're vampires. So let's take a look here. We might be able to tell. The way to tell for vampire, I don't know if they're still in the game, I assume they are, where dwarves can be vampires, but they'll be very, very old, and this one's kind of old, but not as old as vampires usually are. They're usually like 170 years old or something, but they also, like, never have, as you can see, like this person here, but they're a migrant, so they won't ever have happy and sad thoughts, but vampires never get those. No matter how much they wander around great or crappy things, they'll always be content, and it'll always say nothing else. And you'll know you'll have a vampire if it's like, so-and-so found a dwarf completely drained of blood. And then it's like, oh crap, I've got a vampire who's eating people. Alright, so this person is an architect, so that's interesting. Competent axe dwarf. Guess what? You are drafted, sir, to the ponderous shields. What else do you do? Not a whole crap ton else. You are an adequate miner, though, so we will keep you there, and we will give you those things as well. As you can see, the way I do it, this obviously takes up a lot of time. So he's got a great weaver, which is pretty cool, but we also want some other stuff going. So, and then cooking. And there's really no rhyme or reason to what I'm sort of picking and choosing. This is a great Marksdorf, so he is, of course, assigned to our military squad for archers. And then we will go ahead and back and check. He definitely needs to be a hunter. He or she, I don't actually know. We will put him in charge of butchering and tanning and bone carving. We want him to be, or her, to be intimately familiar with bodies and how to murder them. So this is a soaper, incredibly not that useful. It comes like once in a forever. So we'll give them a lot of other things that we'll need down the road, and maybe farming to keep them particularly busy, processing, cooking, pressing, beekeeping. Another one, cook, adequate metal crafter. That's pretty good. Let's also give them butchery, brewing, and oh yeah, I forgot to have some of them have wood burning, and that is a bird, which we can't give jobs to. This is a fishery worker. Woo. Jewelry. Whoops. Farming, and we will give them wood burning and soap making. Doing this, one thing to note, doing this sort of thing where I basically just give them all sorts of jobs, is that when you first start handing out these jobs, all of your stuff is going to take a hit in terms of quality, because, I mean, it'll have people who've never done it before working on it the first time, so you're going to churn out some poop. But the thing is, you'll be able to churn out lots of poop, so it'll add up. But eventually, as you start sending them those jobs, they'll get better and better and better until eventually they are just awesome. Oh, almost missed this one. Adequate bowyer. So we are going to give you carpentry and woodcutting as well. I'm going to give you furnace operating and wood burning. This one is a competent hammer dwarf, so they go right into the military. They have no jobs to keep them busy on the outside, so let's see if we can't give them some jobs. What do we want? Let's give them jewelry jobs, I guess. Glass making, strand extraction, pottery, glazing, waxworking. This is a donkey, so we want to make sure that we are getting it assigned over here. Thing to note is that these actually have a capacity, so make sure if a lot of the grass is disappearing, your creatures are probably starting to go hungry, so keep an eye on that. You may need to add more. This guy has no relevant or useful skills, so we are going to add farming. What else? C or engineering. Cooking and beekeeping, why not? This person has no skills. This person has some skills. Great cook. Pretty good. We will add farming, tanning, butchering, and processing. This is a siege engineer without a great ton of useful skills, so we will add to that mining and stone crafting. Alright, so that looks to be the end of our batch of migrants, which is actually very helpful. Things will get moving here a lot faster, because now that we have people who can actually step in and take over when we need things done. So as you can see, like, this guy's starting to mine because he picked up one of the picks while the guy was on break. So people can go on breaks and things can stop and we can get stuff moving a whole lot faster. Gotta make sure that this is brewing. So I'm going to go ahead and call it there. It's a little bit of a longer episode. I'm very sorry about that. Hopefully you were able to stop and watch through the whole thing if you found it useful. Go ahead and click like, leave subscribe, and that sort of thing. I'm a little bit distracted. Sorry about that. I've been Draxxinusam. You've been watching Dwarf Fortress tutorial, and I'd like to say thank you, and we will see you here next time, gamers. Have a good one.